it's me. I'm Dr. Katie. Welcome back to my channel. If you haven't noticed, I've got a lot of new things going around. I'm in a new city. I moved no, don't shake, okay. I just moved for residency. I'm in a new house. I'm in a new location, and my current office setup is in the basement. That doesn't really have good lighting. So I miss my old office where I had like this big, beautiful window in front of me. So I'm using a beautiful, like, not a ring light, but it's like a photo light. I have a new phone, which is great. I was due for an upgrade for my 11, and so I got an iPhone 16 with the new charger cable though. So I don't have microphones because my microphone setup goes to one of the old iPhones. Super bummed about that. So hopefully this audio sounds okay. I got like all dressed up and ready to vlog. Like I literally, since moving in, I've had 2 weeks of just like getting settled in our new house, and I literally haven't done anything. And I today was like the first day I actually like got ready, did my hair, did makeup. Well, I just usually put mascara on. So I put mascara on, and then I found out like I don't have the right microphone attachment. So I'm really hoping the sound is okay. If it's not, I guess I'll re-record later. Okay, anyways, hey, welcome back. I'm really excited for today's video because I've done my 2 videos that I have done were like more pre-med based. If you haven't seen it, I've got one on, I've got one on like my whole entire path from med school, from like early childhood up until getting to med school. And then I've got one on like what you need to know before you become a DO, before you go to DO school. And today I'm excited because we are going to be talking a little bit more of like something that's related to med students. More specifically, if you are like an incoming 3rd or 4th year med student. If you're a 1st year med student, you can watch this, but make sure you come back in a few years. We are going to be talking about ERAS. I want to talk about some of the things that I was a little bit thrown off by with the application. It is a lot more of a straightforward application, but there were a few things that I was like, hey, I haven't heard anybody talk about this. I'm not really sure what to do. And then I also really want to talk about my interview and match experience. So that's what you have to look forward to in this video. First things first, what is ERAS? It actually took me like halfway through the application season to understand what it actually stood for. It's Electronic Residency Application System. It's not the ERAS Tour, not ERAS Tour 2026, ERAS Tour 2026. And if you are a 2026 applicant, the season has started. So it started on June 4th. That means the ERAS AAMC actually released the application that you can start filling in and start like uploading documents and stuff. You can officially submit it. So you like certify and you submit it on September 3rd, and then it will be available for programs to download your application September 24th. So if you've got that timeline in the back of your head, I would strongly recommend certifying like a week before that like September 24th deadline, just to make sure everything looks okay and feels okay. You don't have to submit it on you don't have to officially submit it on September 3rd. Programs won't know. On September 24th, however, they will be able to download all of the applications that were submitted to their program, and then ERAS interview season has begun. I do strongly recommend getting it in on that at least like a week before, but making sure it's like all ready to go on September 24th. I actually heard from PDs, program directors, that they would download like first thing in the morning as soon as they were able to. They downloaded all of the applications that were submitted, and they didn't download again. So if you download late, there might be a chance your application might not even be looked at, but if it does, it would be way later in the cycle, and that would be a huge, big bummer. Quick, this is a very like tangible thing you can do right now. I would strongly recommend using a different email. So I like created an email. I did like my first last name .eras, and I changed my like personal preference settings in the AAMC to everything got sent to that email, which was actually really nice because I usually have my phone on Do Not Disturb. And when programs start sending out invites, I would only set it that I could get like notifications from that email. And so that way I could actually see the email invitations as they came in. So you don't have to do that now, but think about it before you like submit your official application. So what even is in the ERAS application? It is through AAMC, which feels like a little bit of like a PTSD trigger to all of us had to apply to med schools through that, but it is not as intense, or doesn't feel as intense as the pre-med application. So some big things that you probably were aware of is the personal statement. You have to write a personal statement. You have to have letters of recommendation, and you have to include 10 different experiences. So let's talk about the personal statement. I won't go super deep into detail on personal statements, but I do have 2 reels that I posted about like how I recommend you start writing on a personal statement. I will link those in the what is the word? Like description section of this YouTube video. You can also just follow me on Instagram. Reminder, hey, Dr. Katie. But my like biggest, most general advice is I really enjoy the 4-2-2-1 method when you're writing a residency personal statement. So that's going to be 4 paragraphs, 2 traits, 2 stories, and 1 page. And so when you think about writing your residency personal statement, it's not like the kind of like floral, like, I don't even know what the med school personal statement was. Don't ask me to reread mine because it's so cringy. But residency felt a little bit more like straightforward. Instead of saying like, I want to go into medicine because of blah, 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 you get to say, I want to be a blank physician because of these reasons. And so I really like that 4-2-2-1 method because it kind of helps you keep it like, what's wrong with my words? It keeps it like structured, I guess, because you really can get lost. So for the 2 traits, I recommend, like if you're just getting started or like if you're in the middle of it, write out like all the traits that you think make a good blank physician. So for example, I applied to family medicine. I wrote all of the traits that I think make a really good family medicine physician, or like the things that I wanted to focus on that I had that I think will make me a really good family medicine physician. My recommendation is to stay away from like tropes. Like for family medicine, that would be like holistic care, and like cradle to get grave type care. Like everybody loves to do that. I would recommend maybe trying to like let yourself stand out. Like obviously be authentic. But the 2 things that I didn't think I was going to focus, that I actually focus on significantly, is I talked about advocacy, about the role that like primary care and family medicine physicians can play, and the role that I want to play in advocating for better health outcomes, social programs, things that I know would benefit my patients outside of the clinic. And then I also talked about education. So how as a family medicine physician, I see myself just as much of an educator as I see myself as a physician, and how like that's like something I really want to focus on. And then I did like the traits, and then I talked about like 2 different stories, and they could be like patient stories, but you kind of want those stories to like present those traits and like present the kind of physician you're going to be. And then 4 paragraphs. So like the first 3 paragraphs, I think it's a good idea to have like an introduction. Second body paragraph is like one of those traits. Third body paragraph is the other one of those traits. And then 4th body paragraph is like you're like half selling yourself, but you're also like half saying like what you want. Like you can say the type of program that you are looking for. So like, for example, I said for family medicine, I want to go to a full spectrum program. I want it to be unopposed. I'm looking for a group of like collaborative residents. I want to be able to work in a team. And then what's really cool too is when you upload your personal statement onto ERAS, you can upload multiple, and then you can assign each personal statement to a program that you are applying to. And that was really nice because I actually wrote, some people write like a different personal statement for every single program. That seems like a lot. It was kind of like a mind bend, like it kind of felt like a logistical nightmare, but I just wrote 2 separate personal statements. One that was like general, I sent to all programs, and then the other one that I sent to like my state. I really wanted to stay in Colorado, and so I specifically wrote about like why I want to practice in family medicine in Colorado, and then I submitted all of those to the Colorado programs. And then You can also, like, if you have like a #1 program that you like absolutely want to go to, like write them a personal statement, like a personal statement. Talk about like the things that you love about that program and why you think that you would fit in. The 4th paragraph, I'll talk about this just a little bit later, but it actually gave programs an opportunity to like ask me about myself. And the program that I actually matched at, and one of the reasons why I like fell in love with it so much, is that the person that I was interviewing with literally went through every single thing that I mentioned in like my in my 4th paragraph, and told me what they offered, or if they didn't offer it, or if they didn't like emphasize that. They talked about like why they were excited to have me on board so that I could work on it. So cool. So it's like a really good opportunity to like be personal. So the next big thing that I mentioned is letters of rec. You should ideally have these like before that September 3rd deadline. I had a letter writer literally submit it the day after I certified my application. I didn't end up needing his letter of rec. I had like asked him back in whatever January, and he submitted it, so good on him, but I didn't end up using it because it was like after that I had certified. I did get a letter from the very first sub-I that I did, and he submitted it it was like an assistant PD, and he submitted it like 2 weeks after September 3rd, but he communicated that with me, and so I submitted my application and certified it literally like after he submitted his letter of rec. Okay, and the last big thing that we should all be aware of, because I felt like the activities section really snuck up on me when I was a pre-med, is you get 10 total activities to talk about on your ERAS application. You don't submit a CV, you don't submit like anything else, you get 10 activities to show who you were, what you believed in, what you're passionate about all throughout your like med school career. Some people put some things in pre-med. I wouldn't recommend it unless it was like something like huge and like impactful. So you get 10. If I haven't made that clear, you get 10. And then you get 3 to distinguish as your most meaningful. You have 750 characters for all of the activities, and then you get an additional 300 for your most valuable. This is one of that I submitted. I'll share it with you. So I talked about this: organization, location, setting, primary focus, dates, participation frequency, experience type, and key characteristic. Was kind of like an extra nuisance that I didn't really realize. I was kind of trying to figure out like, is this teamwork and learning, or is this like community service? I don't know. Anyway, so I talked about working with SGA. I guess I can read it. Obviously, like I talked about how one of my themes of my personal statement was education and advocacy, and I felt like including this, and particularly making this my most impactful, was a really good way to show that like, here's money where my mouth is. I can create these kind of like programs, and I can carry through these actions. So the other activities that I listed were like my long-term volunteering, mentoring, participation in national organizations. You can use your experiences to show what you're like really passionate about. Actually, like a few weeks ago when I was writing this script, I put a question box up on Instagram. Again, follow me on Instagram. And a lot of people had questions on how to format their experiences and how to choose which experiences to include. I think you can go about this in a few ways. I think a lot of people try to like hack the system. I don't think you really need to do this. I think the only thing you really need to do is be like authentic. So for me, for example, I like narrowed down my activity list because to like emphasize the things that I talked about in my personal statement. So I talked about my volunteering. I talked about my leadership. I talked about my service and advocacy because that's what I talked about in my personal statement. You can also look at this as an opportunity to talk about like the things you didn't talk about in your personal statement. So say you highlighted like a handful of different things in your personal statement, maybe this is an opportunity to talk about some of the other things that you did. I also included non-CV things. So the one thing that I included was that I ran a race. Like I ran the Boulder. I'll include what I wrote. It like may seem a little bit odd, but I was able to talk about like the grit that I gained in like endurance running, and how that I think that's going to like impact me or like show who I am as like a physician, and then also like as a resident physician. I actually got so many comments by interviewers on this one, and it was like clear they read my personal statement, because they asked me about the Boulder, they asked me about endurance running, and they like really appreciated what I had to say about like doing hard things. Last thing I'll say about activities is that if you are like me and you had like a lot of like one-off like random healthcare experiences, like volunteering at like free clinics, or like the things that like the school organized that you didn't actually like go particularly like with an organization for a really long period of time, I like found a common theme in those, and I included those. I like made them into one. So I talked about like my experience volunteering with like a low income medical clinic, and then that compared that to like the other medical experiences that I had. I also talked about it with like my pediatric education experience. I participated in several different organizations over the course of my medical school career, and I talked about all of those in that one section. Okay, so next section is things you might not have been aware of, but actually took like more brain power than I anticipated. And the number one on that list is like the hobbies and the interests section. So you will get, I think, 300 characters to talk about like your hobbies and your interests. And I actually think this is one of the more important sections on your ERAS. This is where I got the most interview questions, the most comments on. Everybody loved talking about my activities section. And like put yourself in the place of like the interviewer. Like you get like a stack of like whatever, like say in an interview day, you get like 10 applicants. You're going through their like application before you interview them. And you want to like make questions that are like fun to talk about. And so what's the first thing you're going to go to? It's probably going to be their hobbies section. So this was my hobbies section. Being with my husband and our 2 dogs, running, (slow), favorite books of 2024, Red Rising, Song of Achilles, Throne of Glass, traveling to Europe in spring of 2025, Denver Nuggets superfan, scrapbooking, collaging, and watercoloring, certified Swiftie, would go to war for Dolly Parton if she asked me. Okay, so the next thing I didn't really think about were division signals. Here's the map of all the different divisions in the US. Again, put yourself in like the shoes of like a program. I heard that each program, give or take a little bit, family medicine, again, hopefully this is relevant to anybody that's not family medicine, but they say you get 10 applicants per like 1 spot. So you'll like interview 10 people for 1 spot. So it matters who you want to invite for an interview. And a lot of people, at least in family medicine, a lot of the primary care places, a lot of programs are like there to fill the need of the area that they're in, or they're trying to like help with the healthcare like physicians shortage in their state. So they kind of want people to stay. This is not all programs, but some programs. And so proving that you like want to be there, that you're just not like applying there randomly, can be really impactful. And this is where those division signals come in. So take me, all my life I've lived in Colorado. All of my hometowns are listed in Colorado. All my education is in Colorado, and I applied to a program in Wisconsin. That Wisconsin, I have no ties to Wisconsin, and here I am applying to their program. The PD in Wisconsin is going to be like, I got a call, I wasn't sure if it was going to ruin the video. Okay, so what is this Colorado girl like applying to this program in Wisconsin? But I included a division signal that listed Midwest, and I talked about my ties in the Midwest, why I would like to go to a school in the Midwest, and maybe they consider me just a little bit more. So you get 3 division signals, and you get like a few words to talk about why you want to practice in that division, or why you want to train in that division. And the only people who can see which divisions you prefer are the programs in that division. So it really doesn't hurt you to like include divisions, even if you like don't necessarily really care. Speaking of geographic signals, those are also called geographic signals. Let's talk a little bit about signals. This feels a little bit more like specific advice for like family medicine. Family medicine, you get 5 signals and they all have the same weight. There's no like silver or gold. I know like internal medicine, they get like 25 signals. 5 gold, which feels like crazy. Some people, I don't know, I feel like you could try to like really like run yourself crazy trying to strategize this, but I do really think like just be authentic. If you're doing a sub-I at a program, you may not have to like signal that program because it's like, obviously I want to be here, I'm doing a sub-I here. Signals are basically like a way for like the program, like you add just like one more extra thing to say like, hey, I want to be here, like I want to be at your program, look at me. And the next thing that I didn't really think about was setting preferences. So they give you the option for urban, suburban, and rural. I didn't really have a preference, so this is what I said. I'm interested in a wide variety of settings for my residency training and am looking for high quality programs that can offer me full spectrum training regardless of its rural, suburban, or urban designation. Okay, the rest of the application are like things that would be on your CV. So all your awards, your publications. Something to keep in mind is that like you can list like publications as like, you can list a lot of things under publications. They give you like a lot of different distinctions. But I like put everything that I wrote for like different op-eds, even if it wasn't like necessarily in a research journal. I put like podcast episodes that I did. And this is like a good thing if you're a little bit early in like med school, like reach out those, like search out those kind of opportunities, like write in your, like, our school's got a research journal, write in that, write in things that may not seem like scientific, because you can still list those and those are interesting. So that is it for ERAS itself. I think I'm actually going to stop it here, and in my next video I want to talk about my experience with the whole match process, my thoughts, how I felt, some things I wasn't really expecting, and some things that I really struggled with. So let's leave it at that. Oh my gosh, Barbie. Sorry, girlfriend. Thank you guys so much for being here. It's always such a treat. It's fun to film these videos. I really enjoy making this sort of content. If you are interested in anything about my experience, please message me on Instagram, leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. And just know that wherever you are at in your medical path, I assume a lot of people watching this are in med school or pre-meds, or if you're just tuning in, just know that you're doing something really hard that the majority of the population can't do. So if someone hasn't already told you today, know that I am proud of you. We will see you next week.